Why does it always do this? Okay, so I plug it in a specific USB for my microphone to work. All right. I don't know how to start this. I really don't. Other than just to kind of explain the process that we're gonna go through. Also, welcome to the office, my office, the professor's office. We go through a lot of stuff. Anything from academic material, programming, and once in a while, I do a little react. And we're gonna react to something that's happening. Now, for those that haven't seen Idiocracy, you probably should, because honestly, it's becoming to look like it's trying its best to enter our realm of existence. Um, Idiocracy is a base movie of individuals that run a society they're incapable of running that society in the form of lack of intellect. And as the professor, I respect intellect. I respect discussion. I respect open-minded perspectives. So we're about to see an open-minded perspective, but in a very weird sense of the word. But let's kind of get an idea, because Idiocracy, in a way, if you've seen it, it's there's an undertone of corporate slop. A corporation wants its customers to be dumb in order to participate in their product, regardless of what they do with the quality of the product. You can look at Apple products. They haven't changed in a long time. They have planned obsolescence. When there's a new version, they make an update and they break all the old devices so you can upgrade. All of these little minuscule details that a corporation will benefit from. What's the benefit in this case scenario of a new health expert in California that doesn't want people to exercise? In fact, she kind of vouches the whole opposite concept here. So we're gonna watch this video and I'm gonna maintain my inner peace and I'm gonna react with as much decency and potency and detail as possible without being a complete asshole. Let's go.
Exercise. It makes you happier, healthier, stronger, able to live out your final years on this earth with
Yes.
dignity and freedom.
Yes.
Exercise is just such a wholesome and helpful thing. Yet there are
Yes.
some people who think that encouraging exercise or even talking about it is
This.
toxic. And one of these people was just hired as a public health consultant.
Anyone can say anything is toxic. The whole internet is toxic. But to disqualify one very good thing for you because people have ruined it for you because they are toxic is the dumbest thing you can do. And what are they doing there? Maybe exercising. I don't know what they're doing. They're moving their arms around.
This is Virgie Tovar. You may
This.
have already heard that the city of San Francisco brought her on a few months ago as a
Mm-hmm.
consultant for the public health department. The
That
problem? Well, as you'll see in
positivity.
this video, Virgie is not a very
Positivity.
big fan of health. And recently she's taken this to a new extreme.
Very.
Recently, Virgie's been hating on exercise. Guys, I've been
Yeah.
really trying not to talk about
Oh,
body
look at that
positivity
bumpers in the
anymore. I made
background.
my points. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. The ideas put forth by the body positivity
The little
quote that every
bumpers
size
in that
movements are
background.
silly. They don't make
You
any
see
sense. They're just not logical.
The best way to win the war against fat is to give up the fight.
The best way to win a war against fat is to give up the fight. Why do the advices, the weird advice things that people say come from slightly off-looking people? This is why people believe lizard people exist. Because just observe this person's face. Something's wrong here. Something is, I don't know. I'm
But the
gonna give
public
up.
health department thing caught my eye and made me wonder, what's Virgie up to lately? So I go check out her Instagram and I see she has a problem with exercise now. So I'm like, fine, we're making the video. So I guess today we're catching up with Virgie's fresh takes on exercise, health, and weight loss,
Yay.
and childhood obesity. Virgie was actually
Woohoo.
recently on Dr. Phil, and that's a large amount of what they discussed.
Does anybody disagree that we stop childhood obesity? Do you disagree with that?
I mean, I just think that it's a very big phrase, right? Like,
Anyone that cannot answer a effing question with a yes or a no is a pretentious piece of crap, political speaking idiot. Absolute idiot. You see this everywhere. You see this in courts. You see this when Congress is in session talking to people. You see this when people know what they're about to say is not correct, and then they don't say the actual answer, and they beat around the bush. Those kind of people irk me. Irk me to no avail. I hate I hate the fact that our society has been majorly run by these pieces of crap that cannot answer a simple question, and they have to give a response of their own pretentious existence.
at the end of the day, right, body diversity is a real thing. There are naturally bigger people, there are naturally smaller people.
So yeah. But first up, a very brief overview of her new job. You may already know who Virgie is, you may not, but Virgie Tovar is a prominent quote-unquote fat activist who recently accepted a new job. The San Francisco Department of Health's new weight czar has gone viral for her proclamation that no one has to be healthy.
What is your definition of health?
No.
Eating ice cream. Just the way she started that word. She was thinking about some sort of like fried donut burger with ice cream. Something obnoxiously extreme.
One has to be healthy. No, right?
She's been hired to be a voice in the
No
room
one has
reminding
to be
officials
healthy.
about stigmas faced by overweight.
No one has to be healthy. No one has to be healthy. That's true. Fine. That's true. But you know the limitations of an unhealthy person? They don't live up to be more than 40 years old. So if you're fine with the fact that, yeah, you're obese, you're not taking care of your health, and you're okay with your lifespan being reduced by more than 50% because you want to live the way you do, that's fine. But there's a reason you don't see a lot of elderly fat people. It's not because when they got old, they magically lost all that weight because it's natural for the body to do that. No, it's because fat, obese, unhealthy, heart attack, diabetes prone people die. That's just reality. I can't tell if like she's sponsored by the food corporations or she's really, 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 really that stupid. Or she just doesn't think about the future, doesn't predict her own concepts of the future. Maybe she doesn't believe anything anyone tells her. It's like, yeah, I'll be fat forever.
People while they are developing public health initiatives. Virgie has a lot of very extreme views about health and weight, so I was so surprised when I saw this hire. And for me, I feel very, very strongly that I owe myself health and I owe everyone that
Yeah.
I love health. I think I have a duty to everyone in my life to try to be behaviorally healthy. Like, I can't help if I get a disease, but I can at least try to live in a way that doesn't cause everyone else around me anxiety. That's the way I think about it. And that doesn't mean you have to like run marathons, but I think that
Right.
trying a bit is your moral duty to a degree. And I don't know if everyone has to agree.
And trying a bit doesn't really have to deal with like, hey, go lift some weights, go run on the treadmill, go do. Trying a bit means you restrict yourselves from things that are unhealthy, that can balance out the lack of exercise that you may get throughout the day because you have too many things to do, like work consistently. Um, but if you pile on inactivity with indulgence and gluttony, those two things are not trying at all. Like this is the kind of fault that people go through is they don't recognize that their own decisions are a manifestation of their physical existence. They cannot be held accountable for the way they are and what they look like and how much overweight they are. So then they scapegoat, and now it's body positivity, fat shaming, All of these political references that really have no bearing on the situation at hand. And the situation at hand is you don't exercise enough and you indulge in too much gluttony and you're extremely overweight, like this woman, not this one on screen, but the one before, and you're probably not going to live beyond 40 years old. If you're lucky, 45, because you're probably going to be at risk of like a heart attack increasing 90%. It's it's just so weird how people can get lost in their own words. They leave reality nowadays.
With that philosophy, but it probably should be your philosophy if you have a role in public health. Like if your job is literally to increase the health of the public, you should have a basic interest in health. Because if you don't care about health, that's cool. You have the right to go set up a casino and cigar stand over there. But you probably shouldn't take a role in public health. I feel like that is
Yeah.
extremely fair. But it says her job is to remind officials about stigmas.
She's called the Weight Czar. So this is a video, a live react called a Obesity Czar, because there is no health in this or weight in this. There's only not weight is a adjustment. It's a measurement of a variety of weights. She's one weight and she's essentially promoting that specific mindset to be her weight. So it's not a weight czar, it's an obesity czar. Let's be clear about that. If she was posing the question that everyone can do as much as they want to be as whatever size they want, yeah, okay, that's a weight czar. You know, this is how you can stay healthy, this is how you can get healthy, or this is how you can live, and no one should judge you for that. That's a weight czar. But you're gonna see in a second what she considers exercise, and it is crazy. It's so inner-minded that she has no external perspective other than what potentially she herself, as she goes about her day, considers exercise. Like bending over and picking up her keys from the ground that she just dropped it. That's literally exercise to this woman.
Faced by overweight people while they are developing public health initiatives.
I don't
Now,
like being
at
close
first
to that.
glance, I see nothing wrong with hiring someone to be like, hey, don't worry about your weight, just focus on engaging and healthy behavior. That's a very helpful message. That could be the message that some people need to hear in order to do what they need to do to be healthy. Get your sleep, eat well, be active, try to make progress, and just do what you can from where you're at. If that was the message that Virgie was hired to promote, I see that as a positive thing, even if I don't agree with the rest of her ideas. But when I looked into it, Virgie's opinion actually seems to be the opposite of that. And nowhere is that more clear than her ideas surrounding exercise. So let's go take a look at her Instagram. Let's start first with this Instagram post. Virgie recently conducted a weight bias training to a group of government workers. And this training included the following 4 tips. Ending weight/food bias at work. Helping to decrease stigma around food and bodies at
Stigma.
work means doing less of these 4 things. Number 1, talk less or not at all about how you or others eat at work. Okay, this is already
You know what this reminds me of? Talk less or not at all about how much money you make in relation to the person next to you. You know who wants that? The people paying you. Because they don't want other employees to know maybe they're paying you more. Or they don't want you to know that they're paying you less. So this whole stigma about, hey, don't discuss your paycheck is flowing into don't discuss what food you eat. Like this is the kind of stuff that makes me think these movements, these ideas that are people are pushing and getting paid. She's getting paid for this, by the way. That woman, the fat lady, she's getting paid $12,000 a month or something to basically promote this crap. So it makes me think, all right, someone's paying her, probably more on the side. But who benefits from all of this? More food consumption. If this is successful, people will basically leave off any limits and just consume, consume, consume. Who benefits from consumption? Corporations. And then considering that this is kind of a parallel with don't discuss your paycheck to don't discuss what food or diet you have. And then later you'll see don't discuss your exercise habits. This becomes this weird stigma that only the employment environment has.
Pretty big ask of your coworkers, I think.
The
Obviously, by this,
professional
virtue
environment.
really means don't talk about your diet. Do not talk about keto, paleo, carnivore, veganism, calorie counting, protein consumption, sugar reduction, or any other way that suggests that you are moderating what you consume, which is a major double standard because let's be real here. What would Virgie's opinion be if Nancy from accounting brought cake to the office?
It's so rich.
You
What
know
the
that
fuck?
talking about that office cake would be completely fine and perhaps
She has a mental illness. There's people with mental illnesses that are attempting to run our system. That's that's it. No one professional acts like that. A high schooler acts like that. Arrested Development acts like that. And we know Arrested Development is a mental illness. It's a person that essentially never learns the lessons that they should learn in order to grow the fuck up and become a true adult. These are children living in adult bodies telling us what body shaming is about and creating stigmas at work about food consumption. And basically, it's just kids kneeling down to the corporate slop, like Ubisoft, attempting to make people lean into that type of corporate slop consumption. Even though like 90% of people don't agree with anything Ubisoft does, they're trying to essentially tell gamers how to be, how to act, what is acceptable. Just make a game for people. There's a whole insurgent of individuals that are trying to change society by inserting themselves into popular places, whether it's game development, health, government, but they just seem to be constantly coming up with new ways to try and make people do something, whether it's consume more food for the food corporations or indulge in crap shit gameplay with DEI undertones, which is this is essentially DEI in a format. This is a person that cannot accept who they are and how unhealthy it is, and essentially trying to be an equalizing factor of, hey, you should still hire me because it's now body diversity. I'm a diverse set of body sizes. And she's not capable of potentially doing anything, including lifting 40, 50 pounds of weight. This is like the basic resume for any job is, can you lift 40 to 50 pounds? Like if you've ever worked in a regular retail job. So, yeah. Anyway, see, this is, I gotta stop. I can talk about this in all directions. This is interconnected to a much bigger problem, but I'm gonna like stop now.
perhaps encouraged. Well, unless someone asked for the smaller slice.
CRFI. Inevitably, there's always someone at the party who has to declare publicly that their slice is too large.
Like, there's no way that Virgie is talking about outlawing talking about food in general because she spends half of her Instagram talking about what she's eating. So obviously anyone would be allowed to talk about worshiping junk food at the office, but no one would be allowed to talk about trying to improve their blood sugar levels. It's just a little bit backwards. It's a little bit over the top. And
Yeah.
it's genuinely concerning that this was part of a presentation given to a government organization.
Yeah, that's the
okay,
worst.
next tip. Number 2, talk less or not at all about your or others' bodies at work. Okay, that's fine. Number 3, talk less or not at all about exercise at work. So this is why I wanted to make this video. Every single person should be annoyed about this. There just ain't no way you're telling people not to talk about exercise at work. First off, that's like saying you can't talk about the weather if the weather made your health better in every single way. Exercise is just so unproblematic. It is literally one of the most health promoting behaviors of all time. Depending on who you ask, sleep might be number 1, but exercise is right up there with it. Regardless of body weight, if you exercise a few times a week, really exercise, even if you don't lose a pound of fat, you will be a way healthier human being. Weight loss is hard and not everyone will achieve it, but if everyone just committed to exercise, it would be an absolute game changer.
I'll admit I need to do more exercise. 100%. I'm kind of stuck at a computer. I'm teaching constantly through the remote process. I try to move around as much as I can, But I do get moments where I go to the farm and help grandmother out with weeding. Uh, I had to bury 20 chickens in a giant grave last time I was there. So I'm essentially still kind of making up for some, but I could use a regular exercise regime for sure. But in this case, it's just walking around. Leave the house, walk around the neighborhood for 45 minutes an hour. It's not like go to the gym and just pump iron. That's not necessarily exercise. That's vigorous exercise, but you don't need that to be healthy. You just need movement. And you'll see it's kind of like depending on where you are currently, sometimes you need more movement, sometimes you need less movement, but something is important. Some movement is important.
Health wise. And if someone is being hired to represent overweight people in the room and not pushing this message, it's just silly. A health expert discouraging discussion of exercise should not exist. But wait, maybe I have it wrong. Maybe Virgie is encouraging people to exercise. She recently held a Reclaiming Movement After Diet Culture workshop. My heart is so full after hosting the Reclaiming Movement
It
After
hurts.
Diet Culture workshop today. Fat
I'm
phobia,
sorry
diet
about
culture, and
this scene.
toxic fitness culture try to convince us that there is a line between legitimate exercise
I'm so
and
sorry
illegitimate
for acting
movement.
this way.
Everything else we do all the time, like laugh, breathe, cry, hug our pals,
These are
run to
exercises
get
for
the
her.
last slice of pizza, make tea, bend over to give our fur children a pet, have sex, exist, etc., etc. Okay, well, there is a line. There's a distinction between running to get the last slice of pizza and exercising. But I think what's even
Or
more
breathing.
concerning is not only do these
Breathing
things
is an
not qualify as
exercise?
exercise, they don't even really qualify as movement. This is a whole workshop that, in theory, would be just encouraging people to do what they can. Like, lower the bar a bit, but be active in your own way. Do something from where you're at. But with Virgie, we can see that she lowered the bar from exercise to just movement.
To
but
just
then
existing.
didn't even meet that bar. Let's go through this.
To
Okay?
just
Laugh it.
breathing.
I mean, you can call it movement. I mean, it's not really voluntary though, so it's kind of on the line. Breathing definitely does not count as movement. Crying. I mean, there's been times I would call it movement, I guess. Hugging our pals. I'm not going to qualify that one as movement. You're stationary most of that. Running to get the last slice of pizza. Ironically, this is the most movement that
The
is
little
on this
laugh.
list. Making tea. Again,
The little like laugh she did, like because running to get the last slice of pizza, if you consider that an exercise, that's already a giveaway that something is wrong. The 50 calories that you burn to go run for that pizza ends up coming right back in your face after you indulge in a 300 calorie slice. So whatever you just did there, GG, well played, it's done. So again, it's a choice matter. You have to balance the amount of work you do, physical exercising or exorcism of energy before that energy turns to fat in your body. So if you do a lot of work and you don't eat enough, you need more food. If you burn 3, 4, 5,000 because you work as a construction worker, you need a lot of food. I used to do swimming and we burned about 10,000 calories in 3 hours just by moving back and forth between the pool all 3 hours with maybe like 20, 30-second breaks between like 10, 20, 30 laps. Depending on how much work your body, this is why it's so difficult for people to understand all of these different diets and exercise plans because it's not a cookie cutter method. You can't just do one thing and it works for everyone. You have to understand how much am I burning? How much am I working? And then how much do I need to replenish that energy that I'm spending on a daily basis? If you're doing a lot of physical labor, yes, you need a lot more food. If you're doing less physical labor like me, I basically work from this location. I teach, I create content. I'm trying to essentially expand on my online identity, but most of my work is here. I either teach mathematics for 4, 5, 6 hours in a row, or I do this content creation process. And I don't do much moving, which is why I need to make a regime for exercise for sure, given that my abilities to do so outside of the work and the affordability of that matter. I would like to go to a pool and just consistently like swim every morning. But I don't spend a lot of energy in this environment. Therefore, I eat once a day, twice maybe. And I eat a big amount and then maybe some snacks throughout the day, like make a salad, a bunch of coffee. Coffee is beans, right? That kind of counts. Um, but I don't indulge in food. I kind of see food as a survival, not as a, oh, I have nothing else to do, or oh, I feel sad, let me indulge in something. Food has never been that for me. So depending on how much you physically move and how much you expend the energy from your body is how much you have to replace. And if you go above the amount, like you eat more than what you spend in a day, that extra amount gets converted to fat. That's it. So if you saw those pictures of this lady constantly stuffing her face and then she's making arm movements as a form of exercise, yeah, she's really not doing nothing. She's not even spending that much energy doing what she's doing, and she's constantly flooding her system.
You are stationary throughout the entire thing, doesn't count. Bending over to give our fur children a pet. It scares me that Virgie's experience with day-to-day movement is so limited that bending over qualifies to her as movement.
These are the facts, right? She is preaching her own story and her own perspectives as if they are universal truths. People that believe what happens inside of their own head should reflect what happens to everyone else are either dictators, sociopaths, or just mentally ill. Because reality doesn't work from your head in to the outside. It works from the outside to you. You adapt to your environment. We used to survive by hunting and gathering. We didn't imagine food in front of us. We still don't, but technically we do because now we can imagine going to the grocery store. But people don't see the process that their little chicken nuggies became the chicken nuggies. They don't see the death of a chicken. They don't see all the processes they get to that final product. So we have this nullification of reality. And people tend to think from the inside out. They think what happens to me on a daily basis must be how it should be for others. So if for me, exercising is picking the keys off the ground by bending over, I'm sure everyone's benefiting from that exercise because it wears me out. The fuck? The actual fuck? And again, it's either people that are
Have sex.
extremely egotistical, sociopaths, dictators, or just mentally incapable of processing the reality versus their own internal thoughts.
Okay, sure, fine. Exist. Virgie, there is a clear line between exercising and existing, okay? I feel like the fact that exist is on this list. Considering that a lot of the time we are existing, it looks like this, and this, and this, I am gonna go ahead and declare that existing is not movement. If you added up the steps from this daily movement, you'd be at like 50 steps. You really would think that the entire point of a workshop like this would be like, you know what? No matter where you're at, you can do something. Go for a walk. Go outside and play with your kids, your pets. Keep your
Do
house really
something.
clean.
Do something,
Pick up a sport
please.
with your friends.
Do
Years ago on the
something.
channel, I covered a story of a really inspiring person named Jesse Shand. He was like 600 pounds. He could barely stand up. And to get started exercising, he literally just flopped around.
Miskers said that at your weight, you could just literally flop around and lose weight.
That's it.
I laughed, I had to admit. But, let's try that theory.
And that
Flop
honestly
around.
was not only movement, that was exercise. It got his heart rate up, he was sweating, it was exercise, and it changed his life. If we always just do what we can today and do a little bit better tomorrow,
And here's
we'll
and
find
here's why.
ourselves.
The guy already has so much weight. He is a gym. His whole body is the gym. So for him to get up and move is already carrying a shit ton of weight. So for him flopping around and just moving that weight around is actual exercise. You're converting the energy from the fat that's in your body into muscle. So just him moving around, flopping around. Actually, the theory that's pretty funny, but makes perfect sense when you realize he's got so much weight on him that all of that weight is causing his muscles to work extra hard. This, I got no fat here. So I can't really do that. I can't flop around and make muscle because there's no extra weight on my body. So I gotta actually pick weights up, right? That's the concept. So depending on where you are in life, sometimes you got to move a lot or move a little. And for him, it was not moving a lot, but it was definitely probably super like exhausting for him because the guy has to like carry his own weight around. That's crazy.
One day in a better place in life. And so you'd think that would really be the purpose of her being hired. Here are some
Yeah,
clips from
that
longevity
would be an
doctor and
ideal
author
situation.
Peter Attia on the value of adding just a little bit of exercise to your life.
What's the difference in all-cause mortality if I go from doing zero exercise to doing just a bit?
Going from zero activity to just 90 minutes a week is about a 15% reduction in all-cause mortality.
So I'm 15% less likely to die.
And if you go from being completely sedentary to just doing 90 minutes a week.
You start looking at the health benefits
That's
of,
fair.
you know, purposeful,
That
but
makes
not
sense.
really brisk walking. They're substantial. Walking the dog, the data on gardening. So the health benefits of light physical activity, light exercise, I mean, are substantial.
Going from completely sedentary to just doing some movement, not existing or running for pizza type movement, real movement, changes your health radically for the better.
Oh,
so
the
you'd
case
think that the
scenario.
point of a reclaiming movement workshop would be to promote this message, but instead, Virgie's message was literally this. What if, instead of trying for more movement each day, we just change the definition of movement? Some of Virgie's finest work, well worth whatever the taxpayers of San Francisco are paying her, I'm sure. Although I did see that the position was worth only like $12,000, so it's not anything crazy.
Still, someone's getting paid to basically make people unhealthy. I'm gonna leave this done. I'm gonna close this stream. About to start market analysis, but I thought this was absolutely bonkers that this exists, and I really want to start like being more aware, uh, making things more, even with my small audience, making things more aware of the things happening in the world around us because this is absolutely ridiculous. Someone's actually getting paid money to promote health when in that format, they're not actually promoting health. They're promoting, don't talk about how you eat at work. Here is a bigger slice of food. Keep consuming, and it's fine. You don't gotta exercise. How is any of that health? And how does she get paid money to basically make people unhealthy? Anyway, I'm going to cut this here and I'm going to reset the stream and we'll go into market analysis. I'm going to also leave this link to this video in this description. So if you want to watch the rest of it, be my guest. It makes me in pain inside. It really does to see this because people are smarter than this. I know they are. I really do. I believe in people's abilities to really critically think. So